Welcome back to another episode of
Two Minds, No Limits
with Merritt and Brenna. And this is episode 4, and today we are going to be talking about self-growth and different things that we went through and kind of what our key takeaways were from that. But before we get into any of that, we just wanted to kick it off with high point, low point again, and then also share a few that came in through our social media.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
My high point was I had a very restful weekend. Very, and I emphasize that. I slept a lot yesterday and had my Sunday reset, which is always nice. And my low point is I have to accept my plant is dying.
That's sad. I think you need to reach out for help.
Anybody know about plants? Help me out.
Because you're cutting the leaves off, and what if that's not the answer?
Those brown leaves ain't coming back.
All right. I have no green thumb, but I'm just saying there might be somebody that
water
can help.
once a week, and it gets sun. I don't know what else to do for this thing.
Have you tried asking ChatGPT?
I should.
Ask the chat.
The chat knows everything. What was your high point?
My high point this week, I would say, was last night. I received flowers.
Ooh.
They're sitting right behind Merritt on my dining room table that you could see. And I say this because they were wanted flowers. Not that I asked for them, but I guess you could say I was happy to receive them. I've gotten flowers.
It's not always been that way.
No, I've gotten like stalker flowers, I think.
Not stalker flowers.
I think is the best way to put it. And they creeped me out.
Especially when you have to try to figure out who they're from.
Yeah.
There's no note, or there's a note, like, have a good day, Brenna. But like, there's no signature.
They were anonymous and very creepy. Anyways, I received some last night that were unexpected. And honestly, it was just like a very good feeling because it was just a very sweet gesture.
Yeah, and it put Fiend in the doghouse for a second. Because Brennan called me and was like, he brought me flowers. And I was like, wow. I didn't get flowers on our first date. So
he's got you them.
He has got me them, but not on a first date. Not the first date.
Yeah, I was shocked. My eyes filled with water.
So we didn't have a very traditional first date either. But that's nice.
Yeah.
That's always a great way to start a date.
Yeah. I would say my low point this week was Tuesday and going into Wednesday morning was incredibly rough at work. I haven't had a day like that at work in a very long time. Mm-hmm. And it was just hard to navigate and press through.
Right.
Because you can't just walk away or say, I want to go home. It was just like with what I do at my job, you have no option but to press through it. Yeah. So there was a little bit of tears. But going into Wednesday afternoon, we got it figured out.
That's nice to turn around.
Yeah.
Because when they linger, that's never good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But.
And then a couple of things that people shared were someone said her high point was finally starting my styling business.
Love that.
And girl, do your thing.
Yeah.
I think you're perfect for that, and you're gonna fucking kill it.
She's so good at it already.
Yeah.
She just has an eye for it.
Yeah. And her low was feeling discouraged. It might not work out.
It will.
Don't even think that, because it will.
Yeah.
It's not even a possibility.
You're good at manifesting, so just continue to press into it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And another person said their high point, back to work after 7 weeks of strike.
Ooh.
Dang. What a time.
I could not imagine.
Being forced to take 7 weeks off.
Yeah.
And it could have went longer.
Vacation is nice, but there comes a point where I'm like ready to get back to routine.
Yeah.
Just get back to the grind.
Yeah. And then his low point was his stupid car broke down.
You said his. Does that mean the guys are engaging with us on here?
They love us. This one in particular.
I love that. That's funny. They love us.
And
that was gold.
I forgot. I should share this. So my boyfriend went out Friday.
Yes.
He went out Friday, and I was home, and then he let me know that he had made it home, and it was about 2:30 in the morning, and so he texted me and said I'm home, and it woke me up. And then I get this, tell me if you can see it, I get this picture.
Yes.
That he was watching our episode at 2:30 in the morning.
On his TV screen, not even on his cellular device.
Tell me that's love.
But then you have to tell them what his text message was to you after that, because that was the part where I was like, that is the greatest text to receive.
Yeah. And I woke up to this at 2:30 in the morning. I love you so much. You don't have a toxic bone in your body.
I love it.
I was just like, oh my God. And I had to call him.
It's the affirmation.
Yeah.
You are not toxic, Mary.
Yeah. Because I had said in that episode, I was like, he doesn't have a toxic bone in his body. And then you don't have a toxic bone in your body.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And, his low point. Wait, did I say that? Car broke down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Car problems are never fun. Bane of my existence.
Yes. That's awful, and I hate when that happens. I literally don't know what to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready to just jump right into this? All right. So we're going to talk about self-growth in our journey. And so just to open this up, we're going to dig into what is the biggest life challenge that we've been through. And I will kick this one off. And I will say the biggest life challenge that I have been through and that was able to grow through was life after divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Life after a 11-year relationship that lasted from me being 15 years old to 26.
Wow.
So that was like the peak of often our self-discovery of growing into young adults and who we want to be and figuring life out. And I didn't really get that experience.
Yeah.
And it was, those 11 years were brutal. They were painful on every level. And if I'm being completely honest, I can only say two good things came out of that. And that's my kids.
Mm.
Everything else, not my eyes watering. I think everything else I blocked.
Mm.
And so when I got out of that, it was like 3 years of rebelling, not knowing how to process everything I had just been through.
Yeah.
Trying to discover who I even am as a person, because during that time I was who I was told to be.
Wow.
I was told I'm a Christian. I was told I have to listen to a certain type of music. I was told I have to be involved in the church. I was told what to do and who to be. I was told I had to get married as soon as I turned 18. I was told I had to suffer because I was married.
Yeah.
So when enough was enough and I left, I rebelled and I went through a lot of things of just kind of, I was lost. I didn't know who I was. And I kind of had those years that typical teenagers do.
Yeah.
Of just crazy and nonsense. But I will say, thankfully, I finally found my footing. I don't have any regrets because I feel like all of that was very necessary for me to learn who I am. And I absolutely love the person that I am.
Yeah.
I'm very outgoing. I'm very strong. And I know it doesn't matter what situation I'm in, I will get myself out of it, and I will always strive to be a good human being.
Yeah. And to look back on it, I'm sure that was hard, but I mean, you can see now, like, you came out on top.
I really did. But you don't always, you can't see it often because it's the lines are too blurred. The pain is too real. The struggle is too present.
Yeah.
And just leaving with the kids and having to figure all that out, balance being a single mom. I had no money. How do I live with them on my own? How do I take care of everything? How do I maintain a job?
And I think, would you say that's part of why you stayed so long? Not with including what everybody in your ear was telling you, but also was there fear of how could you do it?
Yeah. I didn't think I can do it. I didn't make enough money. How do I balance being a full-time mom to 2 young kids? How do I make sure I go to work every day? I didn't have reliable transportation. But it got to a point where it was absolutely necessary for me to leave. And all I told myself was, I don't know how, but I am figuring this out.
Yeah.
Because my kids needed me. They already didn't have their dad. And there was no other option but to figure it out. I had kids counting on me.
Yeah.
I had me counting on me. I didn't want to be another statistic in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, girl. Like, how you started over.
From nothing.
And, like, look at now. Just your life, like, flourishing. And you could sit back and, like, think about the first apartment you got.
It was empty. I made $11.25 an hour. I was on state assistance. And I had exactly and only enough money to pay my rent, pay my utilities, pay my car note, and make sure I had food in the fridge. I couldn't even tell the kids yes to a candy bar at 7-Eleven because it was that strapped.
So, yeah.
And there was
penny.
There was some months that I'm like, I would cry because I'm like, I don't have enough money. I'm short. And I don't know how I got through it.
Yeah. And that's
crazy.
Mine was, I'd say after my divorce, that was tough because I was so dependent financially on him. And I had this like mindset of this different version of myself of what I wanted from life.
Yeah.
And it was marriage, the house, to have kids. And it did not go that way besides marriage.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized like this isn't the life I want. Like kids became a topic and it was just like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
And I do want kids, but in that moment that's not who I wanted kids with, and I recognized that.
Yeah.
And I just remember like I think it was Valentine's Day. And I remember that wasn't what I wanted. And I remember it was Valentine's Day. And I think I had called my mom earlier that day. And I just cried. Because I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I didn't want to break someone's heart.
Yeah.
And I'm such a people pleaser. Like, I never want to be the one to hurt somebody.
Yeah. You don't want to be the bad guy.
And so she was just like, you know, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I remember bringing that up on Valentine's Day. Like, what a shitty day.
That was the day you told him?
Yeah.
Why did I not know that? That's crazy. But
we were on our way to dinner, and I was like, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was crying. And he's just like, what's, and I was like, I can't do this. And he's like, do you want to go to a different dinner, please? And I was like, no, I can't do this marriage. And we turned around and went back and had a very long discussion. And
You were honest.
yeah.
That is so important.
And I think that after that, I was like, fuck, I felt I could breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing, there was some stuff going on in our marriage, but I think it was really that we just weren't meant to be.
Yeah.
Like it, and I think that's what I had come to terms with, was this is not who I'm supposed to be with.
Yeah.
And I can't continue this any further. But I just remember also that was a part of why I didn't leave for a while, was because I was like, I didn't even have a job.
Yeah.
I fully depended on him financially, and so it was just like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And I did it.
You did.
We figured it out, and I worked through that. So that was tough.
You did.
And now, like, what I have in my head now is totally different.
Yeah.
It's like, marriage, it's not something that is on the top of my list.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to press to get married.
Yeah.
It's not a huge factor for me.
I feel like when you're a young adult and you're growing up, there's 3 things that are kind of painted to be the trio to make it in this life. And that's to get married, that's to be a homeowner, and that's to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
But with experience, it's really not chalked up
Yeah.
to be what it's said to be. That's the cat playing with a Christmas ornament that he knocked off the tree.
He was sitting on it.
Yeah. It's been glorious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think society makes people feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially women. Like,
Yeah.
these are the things you have to do.
Yeah.
To make it right. That's the right way.
Right.
There's no right way.
No.
There's people who, if you choose not to have kids, you choose not to have kids. That's your right way.
Yeah.
If you want to have kids, you want to have kids. If you want to get married, get married.
I would say, like, just to piggyback off of that, the act of being a homeowner, the act of getting married, the act of having children will not magically change something that's not good, or you not being in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't magically change things. Some people think it's like a light switch.
Oh, yeah. Like, if we get married, it'll be better.
Yes.
If we have kids, our relationship will be better.
Like, think about that for a second.
Like,
That
no.
literally does not make sense.
No.
But
If we buy a house, it'll all make sense. It'll be better.
so many people
No.
fall victim to that.
Like, these are things that you're tied to.
Yes.
Like, in one, marriage, you can have a divorce. That shouldn't be like your goal.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like, oh, I could get a divorce.
Yeah.
Like, there's always divorce. Like, that's not a goal.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even want to think about that.
Yeah.
A home, I don't even know the process of that.
Me either, but I will say
I'm
that
sure it's tough.
I mean, it's a binding agreement.
Yeah.
And just like a marriage is, and it's easy to sign up for, but the
Getting out
dissolve of those things is so chaotic.
And then kids, there's no getting out of that.
There's not. And then you got to deal with that person for the rest of your life. So think about who you're having kids with.
Right. But yeah, I think everyone's different. And, if someone were to tell me they were going to get married, I'm never going to not tell them not to.
All right.
I'm going to
100%.
encourage them. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But for me, it's...
That's how I feel too. I feel like just due to the bad experience, I'm like, I kind of wrote off ever doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was such a traumatic experience. But I think as I've kind of grew and healed, which has been a long journey, Like if the stars align and that person absolutely made me feel safe and secure with them on different levels, I may entertain that. But it's not like I need to do it to have
a better life.
Yes. Because at this point, I have a lot of peace from not being married.
Yeah. And those are two big things to have to go through.
Yeah. So, let's see. What would you say are key lessons that you've learned from past experiences?
Setting boundaries, saying no, really having to trust myself.
Yeah.
And believe in myself that I could do it.
Why do you think those are key lessons?
Because another thing that I had to go through was after a breakup, I lived with Brenna for 2 years after that. Mm-hmm. And then after 2 years I got my own place, my place now. And that was a huge adjustment because I had to start all over. Mm-hmm. And learning to live by myself again. Mm-hmm. And setting boundaries was, I started over. My home now, I fucking built this.
Yeah.
I did this. It's mine.
Yeah.
I've put so much peace into this.
Yeah.
It's like a sanctuary. And so boundaries fits into that is because you're not coming over to my house and messing with me and my peace.
Right.
You're not causing chaos over here.
Yeah.
And that goes into anything. Mm-hmm. Relationships, friendships, family, work.
100%.
It's just learning to say no.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feed you
mm-hmm.
Joy and happiness and peace, you can say no.
Yeah.
The world's not going to end.
100%. I would say key lessons that I've learned from things that I've went through in my life, and I would say especially from the 11 years with my kids' dad, marriage, that whole experience, was what it meant to truly let go and boundaries.
Yeah.
And when I say let go, I'm saying let go of what they did to me, how they left me feeling, things that I was just angry about. I had to let go of them, the way they left me feeling, the bitterness, the resentment, the unforgiveness. I had to let it go. Mm-hmm. I'm in a much better place in my life, and I need to focus on the gratitude I have for that than letting feelings from that many years ago still have such a relevance in my life today.
Yeah. And I think for you guys have the family dynamic still from that side is very interesting because they're still very involved. It's not just your kids' side of the family and that's left at that. You'll never see them again.
Yeah.
You see them.
Yeah, I'm around them. So I've had to learn, this was not immediate, and that.
Yeah.
This took years for me to get to a place of being able to have a civil conversation, for me to feel okay with being in the same place as them.
Right.
But that was healing I had to do on my part. I've forgiven, I'll never forget, but I just don't let things from my past, in that specific section of my past, have any type of relevance over the gratitude I have for where I am today.
Yeah.
And the peace I have. And so the second part was just the boundaries of, I learned that it's okay to say no to people, to relationships, romantic, family, friendships. I've learned that it's okay to say no, and it doesn't mean I'm a bad guy.
Yeah.
And before that, I was scared to rock the boat. But now it's no, my peace of mind and my calmness in my chest is important.
Yeah.
And that will be of high importance everywhere, because I need to be grounded for my kids too, and teach them. Like, I don't want to raise them in chaos, you know?
Yeah.
So that was like a hard lesson, because I feel like I was a people pleaser before.
Yeah.
I did what I was told.
Yeah. And for me, it was that leaning into myself and trusting myself was having to start over, and then having those doubts of like, can I do this? Did I make the right choice? Of, you know, did I get a place too soon? Was I ready? And it was just like, no, you can do it. Like, you just have to push yourself, and believing that I could.
Yeah.
And then now to sit here now and look at that version of who I was before.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, whoa, she was scared.
Mm-hmm. That's like I feel like that's why a lot of people don't get out of things, because they're scared. And they think of the impossible.
Yeah. You're scared. You're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And to not know for certain how things are going to go.
Yeah. But you did it.
I did. You did it.
We both did it.
Yeah. That's the beautiful part.
And I think, like, it's very easy to look at things and think it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And you just have to push yourself, and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have like what are you going after? Mm-hmm. For me, I was going after a peaceful life, a turning the page for my children to not have the same experience that I had in any capacity of my life up to that point. And so yours was similar. Mm-hmm. And learning that you could stand on your own 2 feet, and you didn't need a man to do that. Mm-hmm. And you did it.
You did.
You really did. Even on your laptop that you'd watch Netflix on until you got your TV.
Right. In my bed, because I didn't have the couch, I didn't have the TV.
Yeah.
You know, groceries were sparse.
Yeah.
It was just that I made it. And
sometimes I feel like those are some of the most beautiful beginnings, because nothing was handed to you. Mm-hmm. You had to make it all happen. And there's so much like gratitude that comes with that.
Yeah.
Because nothing was handed to you.
Yeah. Because now I can look at I'm like, I'm proud of, I can say I'm proud of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
me
like,
too.
you know, you came from, started over.
Yeah.
And now everything I own, like, nobody, again, like you said, it wasn't handed to me. Mm-hmm. So I own all. I did it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that's why I enjoy being at home.
Yeah.
It's because it's like, this I built.
Yeah. And it's like your first experience of like peace. Mm-hmm. No chaos.
Yeah.
I love being home.
Because I think, I would say I think it's, I can say this is the longest I've lived by myself. Because when I moved out, I lived with my best friend at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I met my ex-husband, who's not my ex-husband. I had met him while her and I were living together. And then she moved out, he moved in. Mm. And then we'd had, lived together, got married. And then there was a point where I lived alone for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I got into another relationship. We lived together. I live with you. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be my longest that I've lived.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Look at that growth.
Yeah. And now, nobody's coming over here and ruining my peace.
Right.
Fiend, don't piss me off.
That's so funny. But it's so important. I think when you experience that peace for the first time, and when you've worked so hard to rebuild and really create something beautiful, you're like, no fucking way do you think you're coming in here, regardless of who you are, hijacking what I poured from myself. Mm-hmm. do you know what went into creating this? And
Yeah.
you think you're just going to walk in here? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think that's like, past relationships after that, it was like, I'd see a little bit of toxic stuff come up. And it was like, whoa, we're not doing this.
yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yep.
I came so far.
Yes.
I can't go back.
100%. That's why I feel like I'm so particular too.
Yeah. Like you've set these standards. You know what you're going to accept. You know what you're not going to accept. And it's not a discussion.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes things like this so beautiful. It's like self-growth, self-discovery, self-healing. Because life can be so brutal and so bumpy and really fuck us up.
Yeah.
And when you can look back and see now in hindsight what you were able to come from, it's such a humbling thing and just such a proud moment.
Yeah.
And that's when boundaries start showing up.
Yeah.
I love that.
Did you find like growth in your community, like not community, but like friendships that pushed you in people?
So I would say during my marriage or my time with my kids' dad, I didn't really get to have friends. And then I met you shortly after, a couple years after. And then we kind of circled back, since we were younger. And I think you've, been the most realist and genuine friendship that I've ever experienced in my life, like staple. But I think us rekindling and reconnecting came at the most perfect time in my life. Like, I feel like it was almost divine because I was able to confide in you in not just the pretty things that were happening in my life, but the really ugly things that I was going through and experiencing. And you were honest with me. You were straight up with me. And you created a safe space for me that I think enabled me to grow.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say the exact same. Like we both, us circling back was we were both finding ourselves after our marriages.
Yeah.
And kind of going through that together, but in different aspects.
Yeah.
Because our marriages were ended for different reasons, and we were learning to be different people, but to also experience life in our 20s together and build that friendship after we had come out of also a toxic friendship.
Oh my God.
From the same person.
Yeah.
So we both found that friendship in each other.
Yeah.
Like as something healthy and pushed each other to grow. And same as like when I went through my stuff a couple years ago, like I couldn't imagine getting through that without you.
Yeah.
And you played a huge factor in that. You opened your home to me. And I'm gonna cry.
Oh, we can't cry.
And you opened your home to me and you pushed me and you became someone I could look up to.
Okay.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you. But yeah, it's important to surround yourself with people to push you and to grow. And out of everybody, all my friendships, I look up to all of you in different ways. And I think that's important to always have somebody to teach you things.
Yeah.
And you've done that.
Yeah, and I think that, because I know for me, like you've breathed life into me when I didn't necessarily have it for myself.
Yeah.
And I think we do that for each other. And it's such a rare thing.
Yeah.
And I'm so incredibly grateful. But I feel like the timing was so divine.
Oh, yeah. We both needed that.
I love you
Love you.
so much.
And I don't think I have anything else.
I don't either. So I think we can wrap this up. I think to just sum all this up is don't ever stop. Keep pushing through in life when it could get bumpy, when it could get messy, when it could get brutally painful. Keep going, because it's when you stop, nothing can happen. But I would keep going and make sure that you surround yourself with people that love you and are going to be honest with you, that have your best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that will also too, like, breathe life into you when you don't necessarily have it to breathe into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all.
And I think that's it. Just keep coming with your high lows.
Yeah.
This week, put that up on Friday.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right. And if you guys have anything that you would love to hear us dig into and talk about, please let us know. We would love to do that. But for now, we will see you guys next week. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.